Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of selections from Prometheus Bound, and I got up to line 700. So, Io has related her story up to this point, and the chorus were somewhat horrified by what she said, and now Prometheus is going to tell her what's about to happen to her. And so he begins with ten prin gekreon enusas emu para kufos. This is from Anuo. He's speaking here to the chorus because it's plural here, second person plural, from Anuo, or perhaps Anuamai in the middle, to obtain. So you have obtained, now para, notice the accent on para, so it's going with the emu. You have obtained from me, literally, in fact, your prin, your previous crayon, literally need, or perhaps request here. So you've obtained from me your previous request, and you've obtained it kufos, easily or lightly. And then explanatory gar, mathane gartes de prot ek cres dete, ton amphiotes athlon ex egumenes. For you desired, you wanted Prota, first of all, to learn from this maiden, expounding, get the X in it, this is from ex hegeomai, so perhaps expounding or recounting might be better here, the ordeal, the athlon, the ordeal about herself. Ta loipa nun acusas, and now here, ta loipa, that which remains. So the rest of the story. Hoya, such things as cray it is necessary for tain detain neanida, this is from Neanis, for this young maiden, so what sort of pathe sufferings, this is neuter plural here from pathos, neuter, hence Hoya, what sort of sufferings it is necessary for this maiden, Tlanai from Talao, to endure prosheras at the hands of Hera. Sute, and you, he now addresses Io herself, Inachaean seed, literally, hence daughter of Inachus. They often do this, they put the person's name as an adjective and describe it as the Inachaean seed, so the offspring or the child of Inachus. So, but you, and then we get an imperative, ballet, aorist imperative, literally cast in your thumos, in your mind, in your heart, tus emus logus, my words. Hos an, plus the subjunctive, this is from Ekman Thano, so that you might learn, and it's learn thoroughly, it's got the ek in front, so you might thoroughly learn the termination of your journey, and this is plural here, the endings of your journey. Now, she's going to go on this horrendous journey, and you can Google this and find maps. I just did one off the internet here. This is meant to be an ancient map of the way the ancients understood the world here. Just to get a bit of bearing, this is Italy down here, of course, and she's supposed to start off up here, just up to the north here. She's supposed to go up to the edge of the world, and then come back down again, go all the way around near the Caspian Sea, and back down around, and finally she's going to end up back at the delta of Egypt. So, pretty horrendous journey for anybody, let alone this poor girl. How's she supposed to get across the sea? Well, this is meant to be land here. They thought of this as going up to the to where the Scythians lived and so on. So she's supposed to do all this herself, do this massive journey that she's got ahead of her, which is not particularly pleasant. Sorry, she starts down here, I should say. She's got to come up here and then go up here and then down and around and back to Egypt. You'll find maps like this on the internet. You can follow them through for whatever meaning they are, and you can also see stuff in the commentaries on all of this. So he says, proton men. We're going to get a det down here answering this one. So proton men, first of all, strepsasa sauton, having turned yourself enthendi from here, pros towards the antolas, the risings, connected with anatelomai, the risings of the sun, that is, go towards the east. So having turned yourself from here towards the east to the risings of the sun, stake from stako, another word for just going. So go to the fields, the guas, which are unploughed. This is alpha privative plus linking nu, and this is connected with that arrow verb, and you get a rotes, a ploughman, so on. This is a verb of ploughing. So the unploughed fields. So go to the unploughed fields, and affixe, again, this is iota adscript, so this is second person aorist from affix neomai. So it's future, I should say, from affix neomai. So second person singular future from affix neomai. So you will come to the Scythian, well, nomos is an adjective here. It really means the Scythians who roam about for pasture. So you might say nomad, to put it straight into English. So you will come to the nomad Scythians who, Niusi, who live, pedasioi, which is a funny word, it means high up. So high up in the air, whatever that means, it must mean in the mountains. And they live in high up in the air, in plektas stegas, literally woven roofs. Now, a roof is often used as by metathesis for a house, and woven is going to mean perhaps wicker, made from woven materials. That is a wicker house. So who live in wicker houses high up in the air, so perhaps in the mountains, on well-wheeled okois, well-wheeled wagons. This is the ok root here is connected with echo, something which contains you, and hence can be it can be used of a chariot, it can be used of a house, or so on. So here, house, I think. So on well-wheeled wagons. So just to do that bit again more clearly, so you will come to the Scythian nomads who dwell high up in the air in wicker houses on well-wheeled wagons. Hekebolois toxoisin ex atumenoi. This is from ex artumai, or sorry, ex artuo, I should say. This is the perfect passive participle here. R2O is to fix or to make or equip. So this is just a perfect passive participle, meaning something like equipped with. Far shooting, a good Homeric epithet, with far shooting toxoisi bows. From toxon is the nominative. So they are equipped with far-shooting bows. Hois me palasdane. Now we get here an imperative, an infinitive used in place of imperative, which is very common in Homer. You don't get it quite so commonly in tragedy, but we're getting it here and with may. So the verb is palasdo, to approach, to draw palas, to draw near to someone. So do not draw near to them, so don't approach them. But crypto is to bring near. So this is a feminine participle here. So bringing your feet near to the halistonois, the sea resounding Rakisi shores from Rakis. It's a third declension feminine noun. So bringing your feet near to the sea resounding shores, ek parain, pass out from that land, or pass beyond perhaps for the ek. Pass beyond that land. Laies de keros hoi siderotectones. And on the left hand, that is the left hand side. So not the usual expression for this, and generally the care is left off and you've just got Laias or Aristeras. So, but here on the left hand side, the those who are technicians in iron, so the iron workers, the iron working, it's actually an adjective here. I'm going to find out who they are. The Calubes, the iron working Calubes dwell there. Oikusin. Whom it is necessary for you to guard yourself against. It's middle from fulasso. So it's an aorist middle infinitive. So whom it is necessary for you to guard yourself against. Emeroi ga de pros platoi xenois. This again is alpha privative plus linking new. This root here is the connecting adjective for this, meaning gentle. So these are not gentle. They're the opposite of being gentle. So for they are hostile, nor are they prosplatoi, approachable for strangers. This is pros plus plasdo, I think, is another one of these approaching verbs. So, not approachable for strangers. Hexes, you will come, this is future from Heiko, you will come to the river Hubristes. Well, you meant to put a capital H here, as the editors put a capital upsilon here. It means the river insolent, or the river destructive or something. And then we get this lovely pseudonymon, not falsely named, connected with onoma, of course. So not for, you will come to the river Hubristes, the insolent one, not falsely named. Again, you need to look at the commentaries on this as to, there have been various attempts in antiquity to pin down which particular river is being referred to here. Hon me perases, so do not cross it. Again, we get may plus subjunctive or imperative, so do not cross it. Uga eubatos peran, for to cross it is not easily crossable. It's not easy to cross it, we'd have to say in English. It's eu plus batos from bino, not well stepped, so not passable. And then peran is an infinitive from perao. So it is not easily crossable to cross. So it's not easy to cross it. Prin an, so it's something like keep going until moles, again iota adscript here. This again is the aorist, this is the aorist subjunctive from blosko. The aorist root we've seen before is mol, so this is the second person subjunctive aorist. So until you come to the Caucasus itself. These are, of course, the famous Caucasus Mountains. The Hupsiston, the highest of borders. Enther, there, a river, Ekfusai, Ekfusai. Now this is from Ekfusao. It's an alpha contract verb, and it simply means to grow out or to pour forth, I think, here. So there a river pours forth might, menos, strength, from its own crotophone. Now, the crotophos is an eyebrow, but here it's a brow of a hill, so it's from its own, the brows of, from its own brows, literally from its own brows of a hill. Astrogertonas decray. So it is necessary, understand for you, huperbalusin, it's from huperballo, but it means to get across. So it's necessary for you to cross these korufas, these mountain peaks, which are astrogertonas. Now this is from astro, star, from aster, root a star, and gaton is a neighbour. So peaks which are neighbours of the stars, that is, they're so high up. So it is necessary for you, having got over these mountain peaks that are neighbours of the stars, Bainai, to step, literally, so to stand, or to just perhaps to go to the, on a path, a keluthon. Now this is a feminine noun, it's one of these second declension feminines, and so the adjective has got a feminine ending up here. Mesembrinan is a word meaning southern. So it is necessary for you, having crossed through this, to go on a path, on a southern path, Enther, where, Hexace, you will come to the Stug Aner Straton, the man-hating army of Amazons. This from stugio, to hate, and the anor from aner, andros, and so on. So where you will come to the man-hating army of Amazons. Hi, who. Now the main verb here is kat oiki usin. This is an Attic future from kat oikisdo. You can see the typical Attic future here. The sigma's dropped out, you get contraction and so on. So who, potty, one day will dwell in Themyscira around Thermodon, which I think is a river. Again, you need to look at the commentaries on all of this to get further information. I'm just going to translate it here. Hina, and hina can mean where, and I think that's what it is here. So hina, where there is the trachea gnathos. Now gnathos is another one of these feminine nouns. It means the jaw, and this is the harsh Samudician jaw of the sea. So it's a metaphor here. It's chosen because it devours ships. So it's like jaws of a mouth devouring the ships. But that's what the Greek says. So where there is this harsh, well, we might say jaw of the Salmodician sea, even though this is adjectives going with gnathos, which again, as I mentioned, is feminine, second declension feminine. Which is ekthroxenos, a hated guest friend. So an evil host for an evil host. Now tesi for sailors. Now this is a slightly odd dative plural here. It's an old Attic dative plural. In later Greek you get a little iota in here, but this is an older Attic form. But it is just a dative plural, so it's an evil guest, an evil host for sailors. And the matriad neon, this is the stepmother of ships. Now, so even in antiquity, stepmother's got a bad name, and so a stepmother of ships means it's going to do you ill. Haute se odegesusi. So this refers back to the Amazons. So these women, the Amazons, this is from Hodegeo. You can see the Hod, a road, and Hegeamai to lead. So Hodegeamai is to set you on your way, to lead you on your path. So they will lead you on your path and be very asmeno, be very pleasant to you, very kindly to you. Well, that's because she's female. If it had been a male, I'm not sure it would have been quite so asmenos for with the Amazons. Isthun de epaitais limnes pulais chimericon hexe. So you will come to the Chimerian Isthmus, to the narrow crossing portals of the harbour. So to these very narrow portals of the harbour, I think I'll translate that here. It's stenos plus this poros, a crossing, so perhaps portals, and then the gates are the the gates are the portals really. It's the narrow crossing gates of the harbour, or perhaps entrances, we might say, for Pulais. And they're chimerican, which it is necessary for you, lipusan, aorist participle from lapo, it's feminine here of course, so necessary for you, having crossed thrasu planknos, literally with bold guts, so bold-heartedly. So which it is necessary for you bold-heartedly, having left, to pass through Ekperan, the Aulone, the Meiotic Strait or channel. Again, you should look at maps in the commentaries on this to see what it's referring to. I'll just do that bit quickly again. So you'll come to these chimerican isthmus with the narrow entrances and so on, which is necessary for you bold-heartedly, having left the to cross through, having left the channel, the Meiotic channel. Estai de Thanatos Aeschylus megas. There will be for mortals ace ia continually a great account of your crossing. Bosporos de eponymus keklasetai. So it will, this is a future perfect here, you don't get too many of those, but future perfect here. It will have been called, so it will be called the Bosphorus eponymously. So it will take the name, it will be called taking the name Bosporus. Now this is an example of popular etymology. It's the sort of thing you actually see much more commonly in Euripides, and it's a false etymology, of course. You would expect Bosporos, if anything, where the oxen crossed. Scholars think it's possibly the name Bosphorus may be a corruption of Phosphoros, the light bearer, which is one of the epithets of Hecate, who was worshipped in this region. Anyway, so they're trying to explain the name Bosphorus by saying it's a corruption of Bosporos, where the ox crossed. But Lipusa, having left the plain of Europe, Hexace, you will come to the Asian mainland, Aperon. Arhumin Doke. Now we're getting Ara, which is introducing a question, as we see down here. And the subject of it is hot Turanos tone theon. So does the tyrant of the god seem to you to be bios, to be very violent? Homos, it's in every situation, real. So with respect to all things, what's it do for homos? Something like, and I think this is spoken to the chorus here, because it's who mean plural. Perhaps collectively here might be good for this one. So, does not the tyrant of the gods seem to you to be violent in every situation? It's almost regardless. In every situation, regardless. Teidiga thneite theos, kreis don meganai, tas di eripsan planas. For the god, wishing miganai, from mignumi, this is the infinitive here, wishing to sleep with this mortal girl, hurls her out on these wanderings. They are pretty horrendous. Pikru ekursas okore. Now he speaks, so he's spoken to the chorus, now he speaks back to Io. So, O maiden, this is from Curio, to meet with. There's a kind of a range of meanings, but basic meaning of Curio is to meet with, and this is the aorist here. So, O maiden, you have met with a bitter suitor, from Nestor, Menestor there, a bitter suitor of your marriage, or for your marriage. Now the last little bit, huska nin akoekos logos en idoke soi medepo en pro oimiois. Slightly funny way of ending here. This is N, and this is from prooimia. A prooimia is a prelude. It's something which becomes before the main work, generally in poetry, a prelude, or in music and so on. So he says something here like, the words which now, for the words which now, akok koas, perfect from akuo, which you have now heard, seems to be for you not yet in prelude. In other words, you ain't heard nothing yet. There's still a lot more terrible things to come. So you could translate, I think some translate this as it'd be not better if this was in the future, actually. So it's almost when you've heard the full story, it will seem that the words you've just heard are not even act as a prelude. It's hard to get it literally into English. Well, of course, Io, poor thing, reacts rather violently to this, and she says, "Io moi and I think this is extra metrum, it's not part of the meter, so she just screams out on stage, alas, poor me, he he, alas, alas. Not in meter, and so that would be quite dramatic on the stage. And Prometheus says, Su dao kekragas, this is kai anamukthizde, iota adscript again. You have cried out again. Now the ana is from anamukthizdo, and the ana has that sense of doing something again also. So this is kai plus anamukthizdo, and you will, it's not future, and it's probably a imperative here. So, and cry out again. So you have cried out before, and you will cry out again, or you cry out again. Tipu drases, whatever will you do? This is the enclitic pu, but you can see the accent there. So whatever will you do? Hotan, whenever, and it takes subjunctive. Punthane, from punthanamai, second person subjunctive. Whatever will you do when you perceive your remaining troubles? And that's the end of that section.